identifications that are not identifications, but Islam, peace and love. I digress. The reason why I came on here is to go over the Moorish American Consulate Notice of Introduction that was sent out on the 9th of June this month to all of the Service Corporation employees, Islam Wayne. And I wanted to kind of go over it. This is a very long document, so I'm going to say I'm not going to answer any more questions or say any more comments because I want to go over this document, and it's a little lengthy. Okay, and I made this declaration that I would do, or oath that I would do this today. So I'm going to do this now. Now, the document, I would like to kind of show you what I'm reading. So let's see if I can do that, because I like people to read along. I also posted this document that was sent out to specifically the consul lead of the Northeastern Republic has sent this out to those close in that domicile near the so-called Pennsylvania corporate state, and each consul sent it out. Consul lead sent it out to their particular respective corporate state territorial jurisdictional areas that domicile where we literally domicile. So a lot of the information is the same. It's just who we sent it to are unique to where we currently, what corporate state currently is within our ancestral territories. Okay, so we got to kind of get through, we got to kind of know when we're talking corporate and we're talking ancestral land, because the two are different. So Pennsylvania doesn't exist but on paper, so that's why we say near, to give you an identifier as to what we're referencing in terms of our ancestral land, because Pennsylvania is a corporate construct. Islam. So I did post this for you guys to be reading along with me, and you can download it from the file section, and the document is called Moorish American Consulate Notice of Introduction. So those notices went out over 10 days ago. The original notifications through the Consular Generals, Amir Taj Tariq Bey and Shalaya Moore. So I wanted to kind of go over this document. It's 16 pages. I'm not going to do the background. The background was for them to get a little bit up to date, but we're going to do the background, but not in this particular Facebook Live. And I missed you guys because I haven't been on Facebook Live in a minute because I've been so busy, still busy, but I felt the need for this to be put on the public record. For the record, let the record reflect this public announcement to all of the Moorish American consulates being here in our Moorish country, our Moorish estate, the North Gate, which is where you are. United States Service Corporation is a corporation. It does not denote any land mass, and it's only in terms of commerce. So you got to kind of get your language right. Okay, so I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see what I'm reading, so you can read along with me, because I always know that reading along the information retains a lot better. So Islam, peace and love, and lovely seeing you again, because it's been a minute since I've done a Facebook Live outside of Tea with Ruth, which is every Sunday at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Okay. Now, this is what I'm reading. And this is what I want to kind of show you. What I do want this to be a little bit brighter, if I can get it to be brighter, so you can see what I'm looking at. But we might have some difficulties with that brightness here. See if I can get it to brighten up a little bit. It might not work, y'all, so y'all gonna have to bear with me. All right. This cover page, this is the cover page to what I sent to those stated here. And those stated is Tom Wolf, the governor of the state of Pennsylvania Corporation, Robert Torres, the acting secretary of the Department of State. I don't know how to say her name, her first name, the Pennsylvania District Attorney, Lawrence Stengel, the Chief United States, and look, I spelled that backwards, District Judge for the Eastern Division, Joe Trisella, State of Pennsylvania Treasurer, Thomas Gross, Executive Director, Pennsylvania Chief of Police Association, Eric Penfuse, Mayor of the City of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and MJ David P. Glaser, which is the Provost Marshal General of the United States Army. And I also I emailed this to all of the sheriffs of Pennsylvania in all of their respective boroughs. And they will also get a copy within the USDS mail. Okay? Notice to principal is notice to agent, and notice to agent is notice to principal. I am Sharon Tracy Gale Bay, and on behalf of and with the Moorish of the Republic, I am hereby informing all elected officials of our support of the promotion of diversity and our commitment to increasing safety and security for all American citizens. Enclosed herein is some information as well as introductions about what we are, who our Prophet Nobuju Ali, El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, is, and what ministry work we are ordained and commissioned to perform by the Aboriginal Indigenous people in the Moorish National Federal Republic government. To include a copy of a letter sent from our Consular Generals of the Moorish American Consulate to your federal government pursuant to the documents enclosed herein. It is a sad weakness in us all to oppose fellow men for their religious beliefs. And if there are angels who record the sorrows of men as well as their sins, they certainly know how many and deep are the useless sorrows that spring forth from such opposition. Possibly love and time will cancel our ancient hatred in this regard and prove that in mankind, tolerance is better than unwanted opposition. El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, Prophet Nobuju Ali. So this is what I send. This is my seal. And that was the cover page to the document. Here are the certified mail documents as well as the domestic return receipts that accompanied these copies to those individuals specified above. Okay? So this is the background. Again, I said I'm not going to go over the background on this This is just the public notice for the Moorish America Notice of Introduction. So we're going to skip through that, and that is going to, like I said, this file is downloaded to the file section of the Northeastern Division group. If you're not a member, become a member to that group, and you will have access to all of those documents. And this introductory, in terms of the background, can be found there, and I'm going to do a separate video to read that, but this video is to read the Moorish American Consulate Notice of Introduction. Islam family? Islam. And Islam means I self-law, I self-law and master, and peace. Peace, peace. So, let me make sure you guys can see all of this. I'm trying to get the glare out so you don't have all of that, but I'm sorry, I can't do much more than this in terms of trying to get you to be able to see. Maybe I'll push this back a little bit more. All right. So I'm trying to help you to be able to read along with me. You could, like I said, download this, read it at your leisure, but this is a public announcement because this is a public forum. Islam, family, peace and love. To all persons of the United States of America Corporation, United States of America Incorporated, the commercial company doing business as the United States Inc., any entities doing business as the USA, the U.S.A., the United States of America, El Pluribus Unums, which is of the one comes many, I believe. Somebody can correct me if I'm erred in that. The United States of America, any of its successor companies, inherited government services contracts, not to be confused with the organic United States of America major. Donald Trump doing business as the President of the United States of America minor. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Washington, D.C., Richard Michael Pompey, who is the Secretary of the United States Department of State. Sessions, the United States Attorney General. Robert John Roberts, Chief Justice of the United States United States State Court. Pope Francis of the Vatican. Secretary Christine Nielsen, and the Secretary of the United States Department of Homeland Security, who I believe is that Christine Nielsen. Now, these are the initial notifications that were sent out by the Consular Generals of the Moorish American Consulate, Taj Tariq Bey, Amir Taj Tariq Bey, as well as Shalayamor. So those are the people who were specifically named within this document. And now I'm going to start to read the document, trying to get this so you can actually see. We're starting here. This affidavit is both the official notification of the existence of the Moorish American Consulate and orders for your immediate and honorable action in all matters concerning Moorish Americans. This declaration for your immediate action is sent from the ecclesiastical, commissioned judicial bodies of the Moorish divine and national movement of the world, the Moorish National Republic Federal Government, Moorish American Consulate to you, the said corporations listed above. We Moorish American consuls and vizier judges, which I am one, and the Moorish American people of our free will, self-determination, and self-governance within this territory, our ancestral homeland, Northwest Mexam, Al-Maghrib, Al-Aqsa, North America, Central America, South America, the adjoining islands, and all the land masses in the Western Hemisphere are duly organized and established as the de jure allodial Moorish American Consulate within the Al-Moroccans Northwest Mexam, Al-Maghrib, Al-Aqsa, North America, Central America, South America, the adjoining islands, and all the island masses in Western Hemisphere. Our authority is divine, law giving us the right to live freely as divine spiritual beings in the earth realm unencumbered. Natural's law giving us the birthright to live, move, and have our being on our inherited estate unencumbered. Ecclesiastical law giving us the right to care for and prosper our bodies, families, and lands unencumbered. The United Nations Conference on Diplomatic Intercourse of 1961, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, the Principles of the United Nations Special Committees of the 24, Article 14, 15, 27, 30, 31, 32, 35 of the United Nations Vienna Convention on the Consular Relations, 1963. A certified copy issued jointly by our hands of the particulars of our commission and duties are enclosed. So make sure you take down these references to these particular lawful documents and learn them and know them. This notice is and also being sent to promote communication between Moorish Americans and the officials of the United States of America, minor, and the Federal Reserve, its agencies, the Internal Monetary Fund, IMF, doing business as United States, Inc., and its franchises and agencies, and any iteration of its successor corporations inheriting governmental service contracts at North America and its Republican form of government, as well as to, in the future, develop programs pursuant to the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, to promote the state's obligation and support for increasing economic security among indigenous people, working closely with our elected and appointed representatives to promote the state's involvement in the alleviation of colonialism's virulent, fostered poverty, promoting of conditions of establishing the achievement of self-sustainability and economic growth, as well as acquiring the knowledge and resources essential to the development of our economic, political, and social institutions, which will improve the quality of life for Moorish American nationals and citizens. The increase of indigenous people having allodial titles to property and the increase of agricultural activity, productivity, and apprenticeships, increasing the rate of literacy by promoting lessons on etymology, morphology, phonology, and transliterations, etc., as well as the acceleration of efforts to reclaim control and custody of our vast estate. In harmony with the Inter-American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, specifically Articles 1, 2, 3, 4, self-government and autonomy, 10, 15, and 19, states obligation to cooperate with the representatives of Indigenous people, 37, the enforcement of treaties, the American Constitution of 1774 and 1791, as well as the Treaty of Peace and Friendship of 1787 and 1836 between the Moroccan Empire, which we are now domiciling in, and the United States. The Act of State Doctrine and controversies between Moors and United States citizens. If any citizens of the United States, a natural or artificial person, shall have any disputes with any Moor, Moorish American, Moroccan, or any citizens of the respective states shall kill or wound the other, you are to contact the Moorish American Consulate immediately and without delay. Contact numbers are as followed. Consular General Shalea Moore, 1-865-255-3579. Vizier Judge Light Tajiri Bey, 1-334-294-9828. Vizier Judge Jamal Talib Abdullah Bey, 1-401-403-5176. Vizier Judge Sharon Tracy Gale Bey, that is me, 1-610-803-1170, and Vizier Judge Asayin Tabajat Bey, 1-202-826-7011. The foreign corporations known as United States of America Minor, Westminster Corporation, United Nations, the United Nations, the United States, the Federal Reserve Bank, International Monetary Fund, IMF, and all these respective franchises, agencies, departments are in severe breach of trust against the Moorish Americans, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1786 and 1836, and the Constitution for the United States of America. The SCON 26 RFH 111th Congress, First Session, SCON RES 26 in the House of Representatives, June 18, 2009, referred to the Committee on the Judiciary. Concurrent resolution is an open admission of guilt for the breach of trust, viral acts of predecedent, I'm not saying that word right, y'all, aggression against the Moors, whom you fraudulently labeled blacks, colored, Negro, Indian, Mexicans, and African Americans, and breach, blatant effort to denationalize Moors and disconnect us from our vast estate and our wealthy birthright. Under divine law, nature's law, ecclesiastical law, international law, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship 1787, 1836, and the Organic Constitution for the United States of America, and the Zodiac Constitution, the Moorish Divine and National Movement of the World, the Moorish National Republic Federal Government, and the Moorish American Consulate and its ecclesiastical commissioned judicial body hereby declares and proclaims the notice of commercial and administrative default of the corporations aforementioned in this document and any derivatives thereof. Our declarations in this affidavit of notice of consulate stands as law. Notice to principal is notice to agent. Notice to agent is notice to principal. Is notice to, aforementioned in this, darn, did I skip a page, y'all? Hold on, y'all. Okay, aforementioned in this document and any derivatives thereof. Our declarations in this affidavit, of notice of consulate stands as law. Notice to principal is notice to agent. Notice to agent is notice to principals. The United States of America Minor and the Federal Reserve Bank doing business as the United States of America Inc. and the United Nations city-state and its agencies. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, doing business as United States Inc. and all its franchises, principals, and agents, which are commanded and required under contract to perform according to the Constitution for the United States of America are ordered to immediately cease and desist any and all actions against the Moorish American nationals and the American people, including any and all violations and treaties entered into and engaged. The Constitution for the United States of America and its binding treaties are to be honored at all times and immediately. The American Bar Association, its members, the British Bar Association and its members, the various acting court administrators, and any and all judicial councils created by the United States of America minor are notified and ordered to cease and desist practices, presumptions, and procedures which serve to defraud living Moorish Americans and lay false claims against their private property under pretense of death, war, and color of law. The entities addressed under this affidavit of notice of consulate existence are all competent to recognize their culpability in failure to perform under commercial service contracts. I repeat, and failure to perform under commercial service contracts, failure to honor the natural trust, and failure to provide full and free disclosure of contracts solicited by the named governmental services, corporations, agencies cited in for default. There is no fully disclosed and actual maritime contract in existence nor entered into evidence and subjected to the Moorish American judiciary or the Moorish American court for examination and open discussion. Therefore, no valid contract can be presumed to exist, and no American estate or other vessel can be presumed under any maritime or admiralty jurisdiction. We declare and affirm that the organic Constitution for the United States of America and its binding treaties and the ancient divine delegation of authority is the permanent jurisdiction of the Moorish American nationals at all points in time. By the clear admission by Pope Francis in his 4th of July 2014 motu proprio of his own motion, it is expressed that no such valid contract exists explicitly nor implicitly. We Moors reside in the jurisdiction of our ancestral inherited estate at all times. All Moorish American nationals, as heirs to the land, are protected by the ancient and divine law, treaty, and by natural trust, and are owed safe conduct for themselves and their vessels at all times and in all places. For military tribunal purposes, all Aboriginal, Indigenous, Moorish American nationals are non-combatant beings whose custody must be with the Moorish American Consulate. All resources for proper governance must be surrendered to the Moorish American Consulate immediately. All provost marshals, all members of the civil police forces, all members of the United States military, all members of state-operated National Guard units, all members of government agencies including U.S. Marshal Service, Federal Bureau of Investigation, State Troopers, Bureaus of Lands Management, Bureau of Alcohol and Tobacco, Firearms, International Revenue, and all other co-enforcement agencies are ordered to recognize in writing. We are ordering you, as the Moorish American Consulate and the Moorish American people, the true divine possessors, I added that, to recognize in writing the divine, ecclesiastical, and judicial authority of the land secured by the Articles of Confederation, and to also recognize in writing the divine ecclesiastic and judicial authority of the Moorish American nationals who are heirs to the land of the Western Hemisphere in all matters in the association of government on the land, known as the United States of America Major, not to be confused with the United States of America Minor Corporation, which is a foreign maritime entity under commercial contract to provide governmental services for the United States of America Major. All policies, all police and military officers are obligated to honor the law of the land in all dealings with or pertaining to the Moorish Americans and our living heirs of North America, without exception. Nothing that these people are owed, without exception, noting that these people are owed the terms and conditions of the original equity contract known as the Constitution for the United States of America, are to be addressed under the supreme laws of the land and common law exclusively, and that they retain our natural, unalienable, and inalienable rights, including our natural identity, property rights, and controlling interests without prejudice and regardless of fraud and monopoly, inducements, practices against us in breach of trust and contract default. All actions of the various foreign corporate courts operating in maritime and admiralty jurisdictions and merely presuming death based upon the inaction of Moorish American nationals in serving to establish maritime salvage liens against our estates are, by these orders, invalidated, made null and void as if they never existed to begin with. We proclaim herein that Moorish Americans are the beneficiaries, executors, claimants, creditors, and administrators of our global estate. All Moorish American nationals whose names in estates are presently included in tax rolls, who are recorded by census data, school records, birth certificates, and other public documents, must be presumed to be alive and competent in the absence of a properly sworn death certificate signed by the local coroner stating cause of death, date, time, and place, corroborated by at least 2 responsible and knowledgeable living witnesses. In the case of legitimately missing people, diligent search and fully disclosed publication of all claims against their estates must be made by giving notice to the last known mailing location and next of kin. Any contrary presumptions of practice and fraudulent, null and void, y'all. Any action of the foreign corporate courts operating in maritime or admiralty jurisdictions in making claim upon actual real estates of Moorish American nationals using fraudulently capitalized names on behalf of legal fiction missing persons owned by the United States of America, Inc., the United States Federal Reserve Bank, or franchises, or any franchises or agencies thereof, are simply rendered null and void. Once created legal fictions do not have any necessary or valid estate. Any estate presumed to be obtained by legal fiction entities by process of Semitic deceit, or undisclosed contracts belongs in truth and law to those defrauded. Moorish Americans are the ones who have been defrauded. All Moorish American consulate judges, consul staff, and all Moors, regardless of family, tribe, community, group, nation, or empire, are living, full life beings, are not fictional corporations, but are the rightful beneficiaries, executors, claimants, creditors, and administrators of our global estate trust and all its assets. Your compliance is mandatory. It is not optional. It is mandatory. Your compliance is mandatory in this and all Moorish American matters everywhere. What is the purpose of this affidavit? And what do we want you to do? Keeping into your view who we've assigned this document, okay? And we'll go over this multiple times, you guys. This is just the announcement, public announcement to all who are named here, who are presumed named here, who are enclaved here, and who are a part of all of this, okay? Your first order of business is hereby given. Officials of the corporations to whom this affidavit is addressed are, by this declaration, ordered to inform all principals, agents, contractors, members, and any associations of all the corporate de facto federal, state, local, and municipal departments, to include Chief of Police for all corporate, municipal, county, state, and federal corporate police agencies, that they, the principal and their agents whatsoever, by any employment, election, or appointment, are to cease and desist any and all engagements that may hinder any Moorish America on their travels or within their capacity to contract. This order shall apply to any Moorish America who either declares orally that they are in effect a Moorish America, Moor, Moroccan, Moabite, Hebrew, Israelite, Cherokee, Wichita, etc., or provides a nationality card, badge, or any other documentation that declares the same, regardless of any other form of identification cards they may or may not have in possession of, even if they are in possession of a presumed valid driver's license or any other form of identification issued by the United States of America minor, Westminster, United Nations, the United Nations, the United States, the Federal Reserve Bank, International Monetary Fund, IMF, and any and all other of their respective franchises, agencies, departments. They are to be recognized, honored as Moorish American nationals. Any Moorish American who is in possession of or display any one of these various Moorish, Moroccan, private, non-commercial, not-for-hire, private plate, Moorish American consulate plates, or any plates displaying Moorish insignia, such as flags, the Great Seal, which is located on the back of a Federal Reserve notes. If you want to know what the Great Seal is, it's the pyramid with the eye attached to the pyramid. On their automobiles, any Moorish American seen wearing a Moorish fez or turban, etc., are all to be left alone, let free to travel, contract without interference with any local entity, corporate entity, state, federal, or municipal police, etc. If there are any issues of controversies, investigations, traffic stops, and the like between any Moorish American national and any of the aforementioned agents or their principals, Moorish American consuls and sheriffs must be present to litigate the international incident. I'm going to read that again. If there are any issues of controversies, investigations, traffic stops, and the like between any Moorish American national and any of the aforementioned agents of their principals, Moorish American consuls and sheriffs must be present to litigate the international incident. You are to inform all persons, individuals, corporations, organizations, etc. of the United States of America Corporation, the United States of America, Inc., the commercial company doing business as the United States, Inc., any entities doing business as the USA, the United States of America, el pluribus unum, in the United States of America, and any of its successor organizations inheriting governmental service contracts pursuant to Title 18, subsection 1028, Section D, subsection 3, to accept our nationality cards as valid identification. All right. These matters must be seen in a lawfully prescribed venue, Moorish American Consulate, Moorish American Consular Court, supported by Article 3, Section 1 and 2 of the Constitution for the United States of America in its Republican form of government, supported by Article 4, Section 4, and Articles 20 and 21 of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship between the Empire of Morocco and the United States of America, 1787. Any attempts to adjudicate on the part of anyone pretending to be an executive administrator, pretending to be a judge under admiralty or maritime jurisdiction, prosecutor, or office of the corporate court in such controversies between a Moor and a United States citizens without consul present is operating in color of law and color of authority, and thus fraudulent, being subject to the United States Codes of Law, Title 18, Chapter 13, Sections 241 and 242. Moorish Americans are not to be detained by corporations at any point in time, as the Constitution must be honored and the Moorish American Consulate must be contacted immediately and made aware of all issues. Article 3, Courts of Equity prevails in all jurisdictions. States and corporations cannot make treaties and therefore have no jurisdiction. Being of a treaty nature, the jurisdiction between any Moor and United States citizens is federal, allodial, and particularly not of a maritime or admiralty nature. Any jurisdiction claimed that is other than Constitutional Article 3 jurisdiction where Moorish Americans are involved is void of law. United States corporate officials must assist with the setup of Moorish American consular courts per the United Nations Vienna Convention on Consular Relations, as our courts have lawful jurisdiction on the land in all affairs and in particular in Moorish affairs. In all interactions where corporate status prohibits interference with allodial Moorish American consuls and Moorish American nationals. There can and will be no resistance to the lawful demands of the Moorish American nationals who are the sovereigns here and sovereign governing bodies at North America. Treaty is law of the land. Treaty is law of land, as act of Congress is whenever its provisions prescribe rule by which rights of private citizens or subjects may be determined. Head money cases 112 U.S. 58028 L 798 5 SCT 247. And ST means Supreme Court. States' statutory provisions must yield to any applicable provisions of any treaty of the United States with a foreign country constituting a part of the supreme law of the land. And the case is cited next to it. Let me kind of move that back. I'm trying to get it whole. Treaty lawfully entered into stands on same footing of supremacy as do constitutions and laws of the United States. It is generally self-operating in that it requires no legislation by either Congress or the state. Treaty must be regarded as part of law of state as much as are states' own statutes, and it may override power of state even in respect of great body of private relations. Courts cannot go beyond treaty for purposes of annulling its effort and operation. From the Prophet El-Hajj Sharif Abdul Ali, and that's Prophet Noble Jew Ali of the Moorish Divine and National Movement. I'm getting calls in here, y'all. I'm trying to focus this. I, the Prophet, do hereby believe that this administration of the government, being more wisely prepared by more genius citizens that believe in their free national constitution and laws, and through the help of such classes of citizens, I, the Prophet, truly believe that our people will find the true and divine way of their forefathers and learn to stop serving carnal customs and merely ideas of men that have never done them any good but have always harmed. So, I, the Prophet, I'm trying, y'all, because this is such a glare on this computer. So, I, the Prophet, am hereby calling aloud with a divine plea to all true American citizens to help me to remove this great sin which has been committed and it is practiced by my people in the United States of America, because they know it is not the true and divine way, and without understanding they have fallen from the true light into utter darkness of sin. There is not a nation on earth today that will recognize them socially, religiously, politically, or economically, etc., in their present condition of their endeavorments in which they themselves try to force upon a civilized world. They will not refrain from their sinful ways of action, and their deeds have brought Jim Crowism, segregation, and everything that brings harm to human beings on earth. And they fought the Southerners for all these great misuses. But I have traveled in the South and have examined conditions there, and it is the works of my people, continuously practicing the things which bring dishonor, disgrace, and disrespect to any nation that lives the life. And I am hereby calling on all true American citizens for moral support and finance to help me on my great missionary work to bring my people out of darkness into marvelous light. From the Moorish Guide newspaper. All persons listed are hereby instructed to submit valid contact information for the prompt establishment of effective lines of communication between the Moorish American Consulate, the Moorish American Consuls, the Moorish American Judges, and the United States of America Minor, Westminster, United Nations again, the United States Federal Reserve Bank, the Federal Reserve, the Internal Monetary Fund, the IMF, and all its respective franchises, agencies, and departments, corporations, and Their agents are not, neither can be sovereign. The allodial, Aboriginal, Indigenous, Moorish American governing bodies and their agents are sovereign, and we are exercising our divine, natural, ecclesiastical, international, constitutional, and commercial rights to operate at North America unencumbered. As foreigners, your compliance and friendly cooperation is essential and expected, as well as expressed in the United Nations Vienna Convention on Consular Relations 1963. You are hereby instructed into and are expected to publicly recognize and acknowledge in writing, in honor and truth, in law, and in your actions, the Moorish American Consulate, our judges, our consuls, the Moorish American people, and our effects to pursue free life, liberty, and happiness on our ancestral land estate. You are hereby notified that you are now and forevermore fired in truth and in law as trustees and administrators of the vast estate of the Moors globally. Any and all presumptions to the contrary are notwithstanding. Your only relationship to the global trust assets of the Moors is your peaceful and orderly surrender of control and yielding of our custody to this Moorish American judicial body immediately. You are to confirm your compliance to these orders in writing and prompt delivery with written confirmation to the Moorish American Consular via email, physical documents to Consular General Shalea Moore Bey or Consular General Taj Tariq Bey via United States Postal Service delivery to the care of 602 Vandiver Avenue, Wilmington, Delaware 19802, exempt. The email address to send your confirmation in PDF format is as followed: shaleamoorbey@gmail.com. That's SHALAMOORBEY@gmail.com. This lawful declaration is authenticated by autograph, seal, and stamp on the authentication page, which immediately follows this page. So the last page is an authentication link, which shows you, by the divine ecclesiastical power vested in me and issued by my hand and seal on the 5th day of June, 2018, Christian calendar year, 1439, Moorish American calendar year, also the Islamic calendar year. Just sanguine, just postilimini, just soli, just sumini. I can't say Latin, y'all. My apologies. Imperi. I am Taj Tariq Bey, Grand Sheikh, Moorish American Consular General and Vizier, Authorized Representative, a free Moorish American national, natural person, Aboriginal, Indigene, in propria persona, sui juris, and sui heritis, in soli proprio signature. All rights reserved and retained. UCC 1-308 without prejudice. Morocco, North America, Northwest Mexico, Northwest Africa, Turtle Island. I am Shalea Moore Bey, Moorish American Consular General and Vizier, Authorized Representative, a free Moorish American national, natural person, Aboriginal, Indigene, in propria persona, sui juris, and sui heritis, in solo proprio signature. All rights reserved and retained. UCC 1-308 without prejudice. Morocco, North America, Northwest Mexico, Northwest Africa, Turtle Island. And listed below are the crests and seals of our Moorish government. The Moorish National Republic seal, which is the Great Seal, which is also the, goodness, I can't even say it. That's on the back of the $1 Federal Reserve note. Then you have the seal of the Moorish American Consulate. And then you have the Great Seal of the National Association of Moorish Affairs. And that is the close of this document, which is the Moorish American Consulate Notice of Introduction. All right? So there you go. I made it. I had a lot of little bumps and bruises with some of the terminology. But at the same time, I got through 8 pages on one video. Let me tell you, that's a trying feat for me because I talk so fast. I talk entirely too fast. But Islam family, that is the notice of introduction for the Moorish American Consulate that was sent out June the 9th of this month, y'all. So we working it, we doing our jobs, and this file, this document, specific document, was sent out and was also posted in the file section of the Northeastern Moorish American Consulate group on Facebook. And now you have been publicly notified of the introduction to the Moorish American Consulate. If you want to reach me in regards to claiming and proclaiming and declaring your Moorish American nationality, you can send an email to Moorish American Consulate, ne@gmail.com. Again, that is Moorish American Consulate, ne@gmail.com. You can also go to the website, which is still in production and should be up momentarily, which is the Moorish American Consulate. Which is www.moorishamericanconsulate.com. www.moorishamericanconsulate.com. Islam family, no questions? If there are no questions, I am going to adjourn for the day and wish you a beautiful, beautiful Tuesday, which is the day of Mars. And the day of communications, nonetheless, which is why this was a great day to get this directive out to the American people, as well as to those foreigners that are domiciling on our ancestral land, Morocco, to put them on notice to the new and the risen Moorish American government and Moorish American consulate that is the only Article 3 judiciary on the land of Moroccan soil. Peace and love. Peace.